Afternoon, chaps. Welcome to another video. This one's on my high mileage hero, the Volkswagen Bora. So I'm doing a ABS sensor on this car, and unfortunately, on trying to remove it, as I'm showing here now, it actually snapped. The bolt snapped into the stub axle, and then when I tried to move the actual sensor, that also sheared off into the hub. So not going to be a straightforward task, unfortunately, but I'm going to go through how I'm going to rectify this situation. Okay, you can see there the ABS sensor sheared off. You can see what's left of the bolt. Okay, so unfortunately I'm going to have to dismantle. That's me giving it the middle finger. I'm going to have to dismantle this quite a bit, but don't fret. You know, there's a way to solve this. So obviously, to get access to the stub axle, I'm going to have to start removing the brake caliper, the brake disc, and that's what I'm showing now. So the first step is to remove this clip here that's holding onto the brake cable, and then obviously you've got your caliper carrier bolts, not the carrier bolts, sorry, the slide pin bolts at the top here need to be removed. I've got the benefit here because I was doing some brake line work on it that my brake hose is all disconnected, so I've moved out of the way just to clear. So I've undone the brake cable, handbrake cable, and now I'm just removing the caliper. Now I've removed the guide pin bolts. Drop the brake caliper because it wasn't attached by the brake hose. Just putting the brake hose out of the way. Get the brake pads out of the way. Okay, now I just need to remove the brake disc so it's retained onto the hub with a little cross-threaded bolt, and also need to be able to remove this this hub nut cap as well. So as you can see, I've put a vice grip on the disc just to hold it still. Unfortunately, I should have done this with the caliper still on, but I didn't. There you go. Brake disc off, set that aside. Looking at the state of it. Clean up a little bit. As you can see, the dust shield has seen better days, so I'm going to have to replace that as well. Yep, do one. Yeah, I'm just showing you can see the end of the ABS sensor there, that's sheared off the other end. So this is why I'm going to have to take the hub off to be able to knock that out. Very crusty. As expected, this car's done 350,000 miles. Okay. So the hub nut cap off, so I'm just going to use a spare flathead screwdriver. I'm just going to tap it out. There you go, you've got your main hub nut here. So unlike the front, it actually doesn't spin with the rotation of the hub, so you don't need to hold it in place. It's actually, the stub axle's fixed, obviously, because it's the rear wheels. So to remove that hub nut, you're going to need a 12.30mm socket like I'm showing here, not a normal hex socket. Quite high torque on these, I think 175 Nm, but I managed with a breaker bar. Okay, just finish taking the hub nut off of my ratchet here. Okay, now I've got this is my gear puller. So this is a device I can use to actually remove the hub off the stub axle. It's been on there a long time, its entire life of the car. I've never changed this before. You need a device like this to be able to pull it off, as I'm showing here. Relatively inexpensive tools you can pick up quite cheap. So you're just driving it off there. There we go. Here it comes. Now as you can see, part of the bearing unfortunately is retained onto the stub axle. It kind of tears itself apart. This always happens, to be honest. So, but the new hub that you replace it with does have a new bearing in situ, so don't worry about another issue to contend with. I'm just showing you here. So unfortunately, the inner race of the bearing ends up staying on the stub axle. So you're going to have to remove that. And to do that, the best way I've found is to actually remove the stub axle, because it's only 4 bolts. So I'm here, I'm getting rid of that stubborn ABS sensor that's causing all my grief. Just keep trying to tap it out here with a hammer. Didn't seem to be working very well, so got myself a little extension bar, something nice and blunt. I'm just going to tap it out of the way. And there it goes, pops. That's what's left of it. There you go. Do one. Okay, so I need to remove the stub axle bolts now. These are 15mm and they were very crusty, so I advise you clean them up first before you try and undo them so you don't round the nuts. So I'm taking a wire wheel to it. Okay, so I've got my breaker bar, 15mm socket. Careful with these nuts are very old, they're very crusty, so you don't want to round them off, so make sure you've got a good purchase on them first. Here it comes. So I'll be replacing the hub like I mentioned there. That's relatively inexpensive, about £18, so that's not too bad. You can replace this stub axle as well, but I thought I would try and reuse it, and I'm going to show you how in a minute. There you go, stub axle's off. And I'm kind of showing you there where the ABS centre mount bolt sheared off, which is causing me to do all this. That's the inner race I need to remove. So I've gone over to my bench here, so I'm going to, using my angle grinder and my cutting disc here, I'm going to put a groove into the inner race to try and relieve it from the stub axle. Be careful though, you just don't want to damage the stub axle, because that's obviously interfaces with the wheel bearing, so any damage there could cause your wheel bearing to fail prematurely. So just take it steady. There we go, so I've grinded a groove into it, like so. Now I'm going to take a cold chisel, and I'm just going to hammer into that groove, and it'll release the inner race. There we go. Off it goes. Do one. Okay, so I'm just expecting the surface of the stub axle here. Unfortunately, I had just nipped it a little bit with the angle grinder. Don't think it'd be too bad. I don't think it's going to cause any issues with the bearing. But as you can see from my face, a bit miffed about that happening, but never mind. Okay, so you can see the sheared bolt that holds the ABS sensor in. So my first attempt to remove this so I can reuse the stub axle is I'm going to attempt to weld a nut into this here and try and grip what is left of that bolt using my trusty old welder there. So we'll give that method a try first. Got my welder set up here. I'm just using a magnet here just to hold the nut in place while I weld. There we go. So spoiler alert, sometimes this works, but in this case it didn't work. I don't think there was enough of the bolt remaining for me to grab, so unfortunately this method was not successful. So my other attempt is I'm going to drill out what's remaining of that bolt using the 5mm drill bit. There's a reason why I'm using a 5mm drill bit, I'll get to in a minute. So I've drilled out the 5mm, and there's enough material left in there now that I'm going to now thread tap a M6 thread into there. Then hopefully I can use an M6 bolt to replace. Okay, so I've got my M6 tap here. So this is going to put an M6 thread in there, so that I can use an M6 bolt to now hold down the new ABS sensor. And this is saving me having to buy a new stub axle. There we go. I've just got a random M6 bolt here. I'm just going to give it a little test. Make sure it's good. Yep. Going in nice. Happy chappy. On to reinstall. There we go. Good times. Okay, I've just put the stub axle on here in position just to show the fitment. I've got the new ABS sensor in there, and I've bolted the M6 bolt through. Everything's good. I'm waiting on my new dust shield at this point, before I can put it all together, and my new hub. There we are, new dust shield, looking good. I did have to drill a little hole in the dust shield just to make clearance for the new bolt. It's a bit longer than the original one, as I'm pointing there. No big deal. So I've reused the same bolts. You're not supposed to, but at the time I couldn't get all of the new ones. Okay, so then I've put on the new hub. Just making sure there's clearance between the ABS ring and the ABS sensor. Sometimes these hubs come with new ABS sensor rings. Sometimes they don't. So just make sure yours does or doesn't. If it doesn't, take it off the old one. Just checking for it's fine. And there we are, all back together. So the hub nut torque is 175 Newton meters, FYI. Okay, and use a new nut for that as well. So I hope you found this video useful. So don't fret if you're in a situation where you broke the ABS sensor. There is a way to solve it, and I'll see you there next time.